So back in December, I played a little bit too much Fortnite, and I got a month of Disney Plus for free because of it. Not wanting my prize of shame to go to waste, I thought I'd binge a few old school Marvel cartoons, shows I hadn't seen since I was a kid watching them on syndication. So I decided to start off with the mid-90s classic, Incredible Hulk the Animated Series. Now I've been in a hell of a Hulk mood ever since I started reading Immortal Hulk by Ewing, which has become one of my all-time favorite Hulk books, and it's really become one of my all-time favorite books in general too. And there were a lot of references that I didn't really understand because I'm not really that big of a Hulk guy, so I thought checking out the cartoon would be a good crash course on Hulk lore that I wasn't familiar with. And while themes like Spider-Man's and the X-Men's have gone down as comic book theme song classics, I feel like the Hulk's is really underrated comparatively. Super hype, and the animation in the intro is amazing. But the animation in the show, not so much sometimes. The animation is really mediocre, and I know it was a different era, but I mean, Batman came out 4 years before it and looked so much better. But to be fair, you know, these shows had lower budgets and they were designed to be Saturday morning cartoons, not Emmy award-winning primetime television. So I guess it's understandable that they look so different. But still, I mean, this came out after Spider-Man, and Spider-Man looked so much better.
What's this? Another satisfied graduate of the New York City Cab Driving Academy?
Neutrons, alpha rays, gamma rays.
I guess I simply glow on the subject of radiation. I don't know why, it must be in my blood.
So immediately I was pretty put off by Betty's characterization. Maybe it's because Ewing's take on her in 2008's Incredible iteration has spoiled me, but I can't help but feel disdain for the stereotypical damsel in distress role she plays here. And I know it's typical of the era, but it's just frustrating how dumb she comes off as after I'm used to seeing her as like Red She-Hulk. I'm glad that the modern takes of the character have evolved past this point, but even still I was pretty put off by Ross's response too.
Where was Banner when that beast of his sent my career into a nosedive? Where was that... Oh, look, honey. I'm sorry. I understand you have feelings for him. I don't much like it, but I try to understand it. Now I need you to try and understand me.
Since when was General Thunderbolt Ross so nice? And about the goddamn Hulk, are you kidding me?
No one is safe when Bruce Banner becomes the Incredible Hulk!
But anyway, this was one of the last 3 Marvel shows to come out, so it does a lot to try and connect the bits of lore that are left behind from the other shows through its team-up episodes. It's kind of funny that Iron Man shows up so early on, and that the name of the episode is Helping Hand Iron Fist, which is really confusing considering there's a character in the comics called Iron Fist, and I thought it would be about him. But anyway, I didn't expect to see War Machine show up either. And it's nice to see the show acknowledge the greater Marvel universe of the 90s cartoons. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen it already, you should really check out Panels to Pixels video on that universe after you check out this video, because it's really good and kind of inspired. But anyway, it's really funny to hear this VA do Iron Man considering RDJ is so iconic in the modern age, so much so to the point that all the modern voice actors really just kind of try to mimic him.
I don't have time for whatever petty grudge you're holding against me, Doom.
It's me, Tony Stark.
So it's kind of off-putting that this dude sounds like a mix of Dick Grayson and Captain America more than he sounds like what I imagine Iron Man to sound like now. God, I love mullet Iron Man. And I like how the show establishes that Stark supplied some of the parts for the Gamma reactor. Stark's involvement early on does a lot to answer the question of, well, why doesn't so-and-so super genius just help him turn back?
Do we submit the bill for damages to S.H.I.E.L.D. or to the Pentagon?
Well, let's pull out.
Oh yeah, in headcanon, the AI here ends up being Vision and Avengers United They Stand. You know, if you want to call that shit show canon instead of a Power Rangers phase.
You say that like you grew out of yours.
And seeing Rick Jones run around with an Iron Man glove was really fun too. Wow, and the episode right after this is Ghost Rider 2? Not complaining really, just a little bit surprised is all. You know he took down Galactus single-handedly in this universe?
Do you dare face the agony of those you have slain?
Mortal or demon, whichever you be gone. Galactus has no time for games.
This is no game.
No!
Feel the torment of a billion extinguished souls. Experience the pain of eternal guilt. My task is complete. I leave you now, Galactus, in mortal hands.
So at this point, I'm 6 episodes in, and I'm pretty much in love with the show. And then I get to episode 7, and episode 7 is this bomb-ass episode about Doom, and Doom is great here.
Dr. Doom can shove it... what? Rather, Doom's demands are officially rejected.
That posturing corn-fed commoner is calling my bluff, eh?
And then She-Hulk transformed, and I don't know how to feel about it. Because I really like She-Hulk, and I really like the modern takes on her, and I think she's really cool, but this take is just a bit much for me, to be honest.
Feels like somebody's lighting my fire.
Did She-Hulk did she just come when she turned into Hulk? This is a children's cartoon, Jennifer. Control yourself. She-Hulk's characterization is pretty fucking weird at first. I think they wanted her to act smooth and sexy, and instead it just comes off as kind of like sexist and dated.
Jennifer, I remember, never would have done that.
Let me tell you, cousin, the Jennifer you remember could never have done that.
The first season culminates in a 3-parter, and it's this 3-parter that's my favorite episode of the series. These are the episodes I remember most clearly from childhood, and I enjoy them even more now as an adult than I did then. You know, I think the number of crossovers the show had really hindered its ability to progress the Hulk and Leader storyline forward. The Leader is a really stagnant villain. Outside of the power bump he gets in the season 1 finale, he starts at one place, gets a little bit more powerful, and then loses it just as quickly. There's no arc where he starts from nothing and builds up an empire like you see in modern comics or cartoons. And given that there are more heroes introduced through crossovers than supervillains that are given their own independent episodes, it kind of makes sense that the show lacks in the villain department. You had Ghost Rider, The Thing, Doctor Strange, Thor, and Iron Man all get their own individual crossover episodes. And while I love some of those episodes, the Thing episode in particular, I felt like there are a few logical connections they could have made but didn't. Like the fact that the Thing Fantastic Four episode comes right after the Doctor Doom episode, but neither play into each other, and it never gets mentioned despite the fact that Doctor Doom is the Fantastic Four's enemy. And this would be a natural place to cross over the plots of the 2 episodes, but no one even mentions Doom in the Thing episode. And they keep doing that She-Hulk thing where she walks into a room and all the men go, "Awooga, awooga."
Daddy, you better get the best for me.
But you can call me the She-Hulk.
Please take your seat, Ms. Hulk. She-Walters. Ms. Walters.
And I know I brought that up once already, but it really is that bad. From her attitude towards the world to the way the male characters treat her, it all just comes off as a bit wrong. It doesn't come off as liberating, it comes off as objectifying in all the worst ways. And speaking of weird shit defined in a children's cartoon, there are a few other examples of some more right-leaning subtext in the cartoon, strangely enough relating to environmental issues, but considering it's a kid's cartoon, I'm just gonna ignore it and chalk it up to being a product of its time. Even though, you know, it is kind of still worth making a note of, because it's a little bit weird to see that in the modern age. But on the note of differences between Season 1 and Season 2, the animation is noticeably better, and the character designs look way better across the board. But Season 2 actually brings a lot of weird changes with it. The show gets way less dark, and it gets a lot more cartoony. It basically shifts from being a sad and lonely Banner trying to find peace Hulk story, into a superhero Avenger Hulk who kind of has things under control for the sake of the plot Hulk story. There's less Banner going town to town to try and cure himself, hating himself for being a monster, and there's more Banner being a full-fledged superhero that can kind of control his powers enough to be loved and admired by others. And a lot of that has to do with the introduction of Grey Hulk, and some of it has to do with She-Hulk getting a more prominent role in the second season. And all these changes are reflected with the show changing titles in the second season to The Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk. The increased presence of She-Hulk and the introduction of Joe Fixit do a lot to change the tone of the show and the various dynamics between the characters. But that's mostly a good thing. The villains still kind of suck, but it's fun to see the characters interacting with each other and going through the phases of superherodom. Even if it's obvious there was some sort of corporate mandate to make the show less dark and to sell more toys. So I guess that's about all I have to say about Marvel's The Incredible Hulk the Animated Series. It's pretty okay, and it's an enjoyable watch, even if some of the episodes aren't much to write home about. It's a good cartoon, and I think the people who made it did the best they could with the low budget they were given, and made the best cartoon they possibly could have. And it's definitely better than the modern Marvel Disney XD cartoons. So next time you're scrolling through Disney Plus, maybe give it a shot. You might enjoy it. And if you do, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. And if you want to see another video like this, maybe on Silver Surfer, Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men, or any of the other 90s Marvel cartoons, let me know in the comments below. And let me know which series you want to see me do a video on. And as always, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe with the notification bell on so you don't miss out on future Super Swim Team 7 videos. And I'd also like to thank our lovely supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to see your name featured at the end of a future episode of Super Swim Team 7, the link to our Patreon is in the description down below. So with all that being said, I've been Swim Team Captain 7 from Super Swim Team 7, signing off.